Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Today's video I want to give you a summary of the WaltonChain Whitepaper that's just been released. Now it's been nearly a year since I first covered this great project on the channel, but there's been a lot of changes and updates as they tweeted about last night. So you can read that full announcement on Medium. But this is one that we've been anticipating in our premium community. So Dave's been a big supporter, working closely with the team. He let us know that it was going to be listed, on BitThumb, and the white paper was most likely coming out this week. Plenty of you caught that jump, 15% there, but it has held up pretty well above $5, being relatively well received by the community. So pretty long one here. I'm going to skip through it pretty quickly for you guys. So they're trying to get into the Internet of Things and solve a lot of the headwinds that this idea is facing as we put more and more devices online and we move into this digital age. So they've recognized the big challenges and headwinds here. Compatibility, security, we don't want all these devices getting hacked. Flexibility, cost, scalability is facing all blockchains as a big issue, and uniformity across the devices. Hardware, software, materials, and so on. So that's the survey there, people recognizing cost as that biggest barrier. We obviously know that blockchain can solve a lot of these, querying that data, how accurate is it, verifying it, sharing it, and backing it up on that distributed immutable ledger. I'm going to talk about exactly how their blockchain works, the equipment, the hardware, as well as the new consensus mechanisms that they're introducing. So they believe that their technology is superior because of the multi-chain connection. I'm going to talk about how they use child chains, data fusion, and value transfer as we move through the presentation. So this infographic really lays it out well. What's really important here is all the way down to the hardware, and they offer a complete hardware software solution, and that's different. The patented technology really sets them ahead of a lot of the competition. So these electronic tags, sensors, RFID, making sure the data that we're going to put to a blockchain is accurate. No point having information in these blockchain databases and stored accurately, time-stamped and so on if it's not accurate in the first place. Then we've got the base layer there. Distributed computing and storage is huge. We know consensus mechanism, that hybrid of proof of work and proof of stake. But the new extension layer, proof of labor, cross-chain consensus, I'm going to talk about a little bit as well. So they've got the smart contract library and then the applications layer that sits on top of that. So hardware design is really crucial, as I just touched on, and we want to make sure the information and data hasn't been tampered with and it's authentic. So they've got two-way communication in these RFID tags. So just like we sign a transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain to let everyone know that they're our coins and we've got permission to do so, similar here with hidden keys, sign functions, the processes, the tags, and the nodes themselves. Next up here, we've got the plug and play capable interface. So as I said, it's really important to have a standard and uniform all the way from the sensors through the blockchain motherboards, from whatever the audio and video files are, whatever that's going to be. No point having one solution if it can't talk to others and others in the chain as well. The parent chain is the WaltonChain itself, that core layer. We are going to have a lot of child chains, and we also want those to be able to talk to each other. So we know the importance of proof of work for security. Now they've got a hybrid because they believe they've found the right balance of proof of stake and proof of work to prevent electricity consumption and be more efficient and so on. But introducing proof of labor as the new consensus mechanism for cross-child chain communication. Now it's not exactly clear how this works, so I have asked the team for more information on this. But it's going to be using the super nodes, guardian nodes, and master nodes, that three-tier structure. And to me, it sounds similar to proof of authority or proof of importance. A variant on proof of stake, so that those master nodes will be, verifying transactions between child chains. I'd like more information about how this is going to work, particularly with these atomic swaps. So the coins or tokens that are sitting on the child blockchains, how is that going to work? Is it going to be pegged? Yeah, I want a lot more clear technical information about how this is all going to work. Smart contracts, we know that this has come from Ethereum as well, trying to incorporate the smart contracts and the apps that sit on top of that layer from different blockchains. So child chain application and templates for people to easily plug in and develop and communicate between them. But what we see here, the fabric smart contracts and that chain code being written in Go, Java, and other languages. So people say Solidity, Viper, these new coding languages, people aren't familiar with them. So there's pros and cons for both of this, but it's good to see that they're being open to allowing Ethereum, EOS in C++ with their plugins for writing smart contracts. And who knows, we can see Ethereum and EOS, even other blockchains, having child chains talking to the WaltonChain parent chain. Now, if this really, catches on and there's hundreds or thousands of child chains, the ones that need to be able to communicate to each other end up in clusters. So this is a really cool concept. Again, in theory, let's see how it works when it's rolled out, but making it more efficient. So the nodes and chains that need to talk to each other frequently end up in these clusters, rather than we see with IOTA, with the Tangle and possibly other distributed ledgers, how do nodes talk to each other that are way away from each other in non-two-dimensional ledgers or tables. The current ecosystem, building those standards, big focus on education is what I really like as well. Consulting, I'll touch on those as well, but it's the hardware that sets them apart. So two-way reading, as we said, of those RFID chips, all encrypted in these data collectors, and this is patented technology, like I said, setting them apart, and it's been pretty popular. So a few applications that we've already seen from big companies. Traceability, I've spoken so many times about logistics and being a fantastic use of blockchain technology. Sky Nova there. Clothing and traceability, is it authentic? Are these items fakes? We're going to pay for them. We want to make sure it's the real thing. So using these RFID tags on the garments themselves, they're tamper-proof, and you can get all sorts of information from shoppers, what they're picking up off the rack, as well as actually where it's come from there. So another company that's really keen on this technology and experimenting with those child chains. As I said, they're providing consulting and education, which is great to see, to help people adopt this technology. Here's a list of some of those big companies and the applications that they're using. Great to see a few closer to home next door here, our neighbours in New Zealand as well. Setting those standards for how the RFID is going to talk to each other. So you might have seen a few different use cases, but in the Internet of Things world, you might have heard of the LoRa network, so low range frequency for talking to devices, as well as UHF here as well. So how is this all going to talk to each other, from Wi-Fi to 5G and so on, and trying to create standards so that hardware, software, and these businesses can seamlessly integrate. Development blueprint, there as well. That's probably all I had on that, guys. The last thing to note here, WaltonChain is a non-for-profit foundation with that governance structure and these different decision-making committees here. Other than that, guys, I'm just introducing all the team members if you want to check that out. So in summary, what do I think about all this? Well, there's been mixed reviews. As we know, Reddit can be a bit polarizing. So, people seeing WaltonChain and VeChain as big competitors. Well, I own them both. I like both. If you think that China, Korea even the world adopting this technology, it's not big enough for 2 similar projects, then I think you're crazy. So yes, we've seen WaltonChain talking with the Korean government and even Chinese government and sectors of agriculture. We know that they're putting more money and funding this area in their budgets in the coming years. So great to see them working closely in those countries. No mention of Ali Cloud as well, which a lot of people were excited about. No mention of smart cities. I'd love more details on how this is going to work in terms of the rewards after token swap is complete, exactly how those masternodes are going to work. More information about the child chain tokens and coins and how that's going to be pegged to the WaltonChain tokens. So I feel there's not enough information about exactly how integral the WaltonChain coin itself is to this whole system. Other than that, guys, really excited about that complete package. Patented technology, hardware and software, very popular. I know a lot of you are running master nodes and very keen on this one. So great to see them making progress. I hope you've liked that review. Please hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and as always, thanks for tuning in, guys. Cheers.